Hello! Today's video is going to be a bit of a declutter with a twist. I have 4 Colourpop palettes here, and over the years I have taken shades from other palettes and put them in here, maybe given a few shades away, and as a result I've mixed and matched these so much to the point where these palettes aren't necessarily the original color stories of the palettes, which is the reason I originally bought them. I don't know, I started looking at this the other day and I realized, number one, there's a lot of repeat shades in these palettes, but also there are only a handful of shades that I really like and that I reach for. I go out of my way to wear. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take out all of the shades individually, maybe sort them into categories to see just how much of each type of shade I have, and then I will go in and handpick the special shades, the ones that I want to keep. And depending on how many shades I'm able to keep, I might put them all in one palette, maybe one of the smaller palettes, I'm not sure. I would like to take them all out and compare them all side by side without any background or anything, just to see just how similar they are. So I have this magnet here and I'm going to pull them all out. Alright, so I'm going to put these all to the side and go through and sort these by finish and depth. Alright, I put a cloth down to kind of block that glare, and hopefully this is a little bit more true to color. It is very easy to see that I have a preference for pink, purpley, reddish, mauve champagne colors. Not a lot of deviation in the different types of colors. I am going to take a couple specific shadows that I'm thinking about out first. This first one is this matte cream shade. This is from the Coconuts palette. I wear this every day already. I'm gonna put this in a magnetic palette that I already have in my everyday makeup drawer. I don't need to include this in that palette. That being said, I imagine that this palette I put together is likely going to be one that I want to take with me when I travel. I want to be able to create full looks with this palette, whatever it ends up looking like. And so I do want a shade that I could use to set my eyeshadow primer and maybe brighten it up. I do like having just like a lighter creamy matte color. Sometimes I just want like a brighter lid, but I still want it to be matte, or I want something for the inner corner or the lower lash line. Lots of different reasons why I would want a shade like this. So I definitely want to keep this in whatever palette I end up putting together. So I'm just gonna put that one off to the side here. I definitely have more mattes than shimmers, but my eyes gravitate towards the shimmers. So I think I'm gonna start with this one. This color right here, this is from the Go and Coconuts palette too. This is a really beautiful metallic shade. I believe Cocoa Crush is the name of that shade. And this is just stunning and gorgeous. It's one of my most used shades from any of my Colourpop palettes. Definitely going to hold on to that one. There are a number of they're matte shades with the glitter in them. I don't exactly remember what those were called. I think they were called sequined shadows. I don't really have any need for that. Like, I wouldn't miss them if they were gone. So I know I can declutter these too. Put the declutter section over here. I'm gonna zoom you out so I have more room. Okay. A similar shade to the one that I just swatched, Cocoa Crush, is this one right here. I don't remember which palette it's from, but when I swatch them side by side, it's a pretty shade, but it's not as metallic as Cocoa Crush, and I think if I wanted to have a shade like that in a look, I could easily reach for Cocoa Crush instead. So I don't need both of these. And same with this one. This one's kind of like a mid-toned taupey shimmer. Actually, that's pretty. I like that because it's kind of a mid-toned shade. So I'm gonna put that in the middle here. This is gonna be my maybe pile. Let's compare these two shades because I think these are pretty similar. And I would say all of these are pretty similar. This one was from the Making Mops palette. I remember it was in a Pan This Eyeshadows project, and I loved it. It was a beautiful, beautiful pinky shimmer shade. And I did like it, and obviously I wore it enough to hit pan. And then this one here is similar, but it's a satin formula. That one's really pretty too. And then another one that I think is really similar is this one. I'm pretty sure this is from the Flutterby palette. This one definitely has a little bit more of like a purple cool toned, versus these two are more like warm pinks, like coppery shades. And then this one in the middle, this is the one that I thought was a super shock, but I don't think it is. I know I'm keeping Cocoa Crush, so let me compare that to all of these. I mean, they're all beautiful, but I think these two I can pass on. And then, am I gonna reach for either of these two over Cocoa Crush? Maybe this one. I wouldn't necessarily use them for the same thing. This will go in the maybe pile. But yeah, I think if I were to reach for something like this in a look, I'm definitely gonna reach for Cocoa Crush over the other ones. And honestly, I don't really like when pinky shades pull super coppery like that. I just don't think that's super flattering for my skin tone. I'm gonna do this one too, because this one actually looks pretty similar too. Yeah, it's pretty. It's more of a satin shade, but yeah, I can pass this one on. Yeah, let's look at this one too. I think this one is also pretty similar. This one is definitely a lot more coppery, like a reddish bronzy color, and that is really pretty, but again, I don't know. This is gonna go in the maybe pile too, because even though, like I said, I don't reach for these types of shades a ton, I do think that this would really make my eye color pop. And just because I'm not really feeling these warmer coppery shades in general doesn't mean I'm never gonna wear them again. So I'll put that in the maybe pile. All right, I washed off the swatches so I could start with a clean slate again. And when I was looking at my mattes again, I realized there are two more of those sequin shades where there's glitter mixed within the matte formula. There's two more shades like that, so I am gonna put those in the declutter pile. Well, this color is a really, really pretty darker purpley mauve color, so that'll go in the maybe pile, but I don't know. It really just depends on how I want to formulate the palette. So I have these 4 shimmers left, and they're purpley shimmers. I'm just gonna swatch them all side by side so we can get a look at them. Okay, so those are the 4 shades right there. I know I really like this one, this first one here. I think this is Earthshine, so I'm gonna keep that one. The other ones, however, the formulas aren't anything super spectacular to me. This shade is like a duochrome, and it's very, very powdery. And then these other 2 shades, I'm not really feeling anything for, so I'm gonna put all of those in, and that's fine. This is my palette so far. Yeah, I feel good about that because I do really like this one shade here in particular. I think that's a beautiful shade, and I love pairing that with burgundy colors, so that will help me figure out what type of mattes I want to keep. And I'm going to sort of organize these from lightest to darkest. There's a lot of light and mid-tone mattes in here. I certainly don't need to keep all of them. Wow, look at how similar all of these are. Okay, so I likely would want a transition shade. That's what I would consider these types of shades for me, where they're a little bit darker than the light matte here, and they would kind of help make it easier to blend all the other shades. I know I want to keep this one. This is like a beautiful mauve-y purpley color. I gravitate towards these sorts of shades, so I do want to keep it, but maybe I want to keep a brown version of that. So I don't need all of these pinks. I don't know. I reach for these types of shades all the time though, and so I don't want to just get rid of them. Okay, so if I'm gonna keep one of these two shades, they're really similar. It's just one is a little darker than the other one. I'll keep the lighter one. And then I'm gonna swatch all three of these as well and just see if there's any major difference. They're so light already though that it's gonna be hard to see. Yeah, I like this one the best. And then this one is the most unique matte out of all the ones that I have. And it is a pretty color. I wouldn't say I would grab it all the time, but that is a really beautiful color. And maybe, you know, maybe I want to do a little pop of color or something, and it would go really nice with the other shades I have so far. So I will keep that one. As for these ones, I don't need all of these. I can get rid of this one. This is kind of like a corally shade. Yeah, I'll swatch all these just to see if there's any, you know, minute differences that I care about once I see them swatched out. So I'm gonna go clean these off, and then come back and swatch them all. Yeah, I mean, they are like subtly different, but I don't need all of them. I definitely don't want these two sequin ones. I see that the glitter in there. I'm not a fan of that. I don't want that. So these are eliminated from the roundup. I think what I'll do is I'll keep one that's more purpley and then keep one that's more brown. As for which one I keep, I like this one, the fourth one up, so I'll keep that one. And then for the brown one, I think I like this one. I think that one is the most unique, so I'll grab that. And then all these other ones can go. As for the dark mattes, there's definitely more like red ones, and then some more purple ones, and then a true brown. See, I do like having the red options, but it isn't very often that I'm reaching for reds necessarily. And if I am, I do have other palettes with burgundy red shades that I can wear. So I'm gonna quickly swatch these just to see if I feel strongly about any of them. I mean, they are really beautiful, but realistically, how often am I in need of 3 red mattes? Okay, that bottom one ended up being more purple than red, and so these two, and they're very similar, these two reds. I'm gonna grab this middle one because even though the difference between the two is negligible, this top one is more orangey red, and this middle one is slightly more of a purpley burgundy red. Very, very subtle differences though. So I'm just gonna keep the one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and swatch the rest of these. It's really hard to swatch dark mattes. I feel like it's very, very messy. I feel like of the more browny ones, I like this middle one. I feel like that one's the most true brown. Out of the rest of these more purple ones, do I like this middle one or do I like this one here? This one's more purple and then this one is more burgundy. I'm gonna hold on to both for now and I can declutter these two. Now for the maybe pile. So currently the only 2 shimmers I have in this palette so far that are keeps are Cocoa Crush and I believe this is Earth Shine. I don't know, I don't feel super strongly about either of these to be honest with you. So gonna actually pass on all of these. So I have 12 shades left. Do I wanna try to pare it down even more and put it into a 9? Honestly, I don't need this many dark mattes. I really don't. And if I were to look at all these and think of two that I want to keep, it's one of these two. I just don't know which one. I think I like this one. I'm gonna hold on to that one. I think this one's also from the Coconuts palette. This one's also pretty. Is there anything from here that I would like to switch it out with? Yeah, I don't need this shade here. I can pass on that one. Now, how do I want to organize this? Honestly, are these two really that different? These two shades? Yeah, they are. So I kind of want to take each of the shimmer shades and make it its own row, and then add shades that I think would go with each of them. Okay, I think I got it figured out. Okay, so this is the new palette I've come up with. And if you can see, each row is kind of its own thing. I guess the gold is making it hard for you to see. I think that might show you the true colors a little bit better. No. Let's see. Like, it's daylight outside. I don't know why it's so dark without it, but yeah, I think this is a little bit easier to see the true colors. So we have like the really light purpley cool tone stuff here, the plummy section, and then you have like a little bit more of like a reddish burgundy, bronzy, champagne, more warm brown. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good mix of everything. So yeah, I guess I thought maybe I would narrow it down to 2 palettes, but then once I actually looked and saw how similar a lot of these shades are, I realized I don't need all of that, especially because I do have a ton of other palettes and other eyeshadows in my collection that I want to reach for. These ones are kind of like the special ones. Yeah, I feel good. I think this would be a great travel palette because it's got a little bit of everything depending on what look I'm going for. I can go natural, I can go fun. Yeah, I like it. And I like the packaging too. I think this is a really beautiful and sturdy cardboard packaging. Great for travel. Even though there's no mirror, I don't really mind that. Yeah, this is something I've been meaning to do for a long time. I hope you enjoyed watching. I don't really have any other palettes like that I could do this with, but I do think I need to go through and have a closer look at all of my eyeshadow singles. I think I need to go through and get rid of some duplicates and maybe just some shades that I've had for a very long time. Some of my single shadows are the oldest products in my collection, and likely not all of them are performing the same as they used to. So that might be something I do in the future, but this one was kind of weighing on me. This is one I'd been wanting to do for a long time. So I thank you for taking some of your time and spending it with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video.